This week on Louisiana Sportsman TV, Dave Moreland will be green scoring white-tailed deer, Captain Charlie Thomason will be targeting redfish with swim baits, and Greg Hackney will be duck hunting in the snow. Come go with us.
Hey guys, Ruffin here from Bowie Outfitters. Today I want to talk to you about a new product we're carrying here at the store, Big Tine Deer Attractants. Big Tine features a mineral brick or a granular mineral, a protein blend, a fortified deer blend, a fortified deer block, and a cherry on top corn topper. So come by Bowie Outfitters today and check these great products out.
We're here today at the Louisiana Sportsman Show measuring deer heads for the Big Buck contest. This is our first look at the big bucks that were killed during the 2012 season in Louisiana. I'm holding a nice 10-point deer that came out of West Feliciana Parish. We're measuring official scoring, Boone and Crockett and Pope and Young. Pope and Young is for the archery record book. Boone and Crockett accepts any type of weapon for that record book. Both systems are very similar. They're based on symmetry. The right side matches the left side. What doesn't match is a deduction. Typical points arise from the top of the main beams, and as you see here on this brow tine, we have a non-typical point coming off of the rear, so this would be an abnormal point and would be a deduction. We also have on this buck an unusual situation where we have 1, 2, 3. This is actually a typical point, but because there is no matching point on the left beam, we're going to consider this to be a abnormal, non-typical point because it interrupts the spacing of the symmetry of the deer. In the scoring system, basically the only spread that he gets credit for is the inside spread. We take our old carpenter's rule, and we will measure the inside spread between the two beams, the greatest inside spread. We also take just for information's sake, the tip-to-tip spread and the greatest spread on the outside, but those do not count in the scoring. Only the inside spread counts in the scoring. Main beam lengths are taken using a cable, and basically we will start the cable at the end tip of the main beam, run it down the side, and a lot of times you'll see a little groove when the animal was in velvet that the cable just fits right in. And we go all the way down to the base to where the base of the antler kind of matches with the eye socket. We put our alligator clip on it, and then we'll take our carpenter's rule again and we'll hold it up and we'll get our measurement for the main beam length. We do both the right and left main beams. In this situation, the right main beam was 20 5/8. The left main beam was 21. So that's a deduction of 3/8 for the lack of symmetry. Then we measure individual points And points are measured, and this is one thing I've seen hunters when they're kind of green scoring their deer, they'll make a mistake. They will actually run the length of the point to the bottom of the beam or to the halfway point. What you do is you take your cable or your ruler in this situation, lay it at the base of the point over the beam and draw your line. Like for instance, if you were going to cut this point off and just have the main beam, you would draw your line there. And so this would be the point from which you would measure the individual from the tip of the point down to your baseline right there. And you do that for all of these. The G1 is the brow tine, G2, G3, and this would be the G4. Again, this point is considered to be a non-typical point, even though it is comes off the top of the main beam, because there is no matching point for this one on the left side. Then you go to your left side and you measure your individual point lengths, G1, G2, G3, G4. The main beam tip is considered a point, even though we've already measured the main beam, so he gets credit for that as far as the point. You take your deductions. For instance, on this deer, your G2 on your right side was 8 5/8. Your G2 on your left side was 7 4/8. So that's the deduction of 1.1 inch because of the lack of symmetry. Then you take your 4 circumferences. Again, you use your 1/4 inch tape. And in this situation, we're taking the smallest circumference. We're moving our tape and finding the smallest circumference. And in this case, the smallest circumference is 4 6/8. So we take a circumference measurements on each side between the base and G1, the brow tine. Then we'll take our second circumference measurement between G1 and G2. Then we'll take our third one between G2 and G3. And then we'll take our fourth one. You always take 4 circumference measurements. If, for instance, this deer was missing the G4, it would only have 1, 2, 3 typical points. What we would do then is measure the distance halfway between the tip of the main beam to the G3 and take the circumference measurement there. You always have to have 4 circumference measurements. Okay, once you have recorded the measurements for each point, each length, each circumference, you go to the score sheet, you total up the right side, you total up the left side, you total up your deductions. Then you go to your column here. This particular deer had a 17 3/8 inside spread. We add in the right totals, the left totals, for a grand total of 134 5/8. We look at our deductions, it's 9 4/8. We subtract that, and we get a net score, a final score for this deer of 125 1/8. This is a gun kill deer. In Louisiana, a deer that scores 130 qualifies for our state record book. So this deer would not make it as far as with that score. Mississippi, the Magnolia records, 125 is the minimum score. So this deer, had it been killed in Mississippi, would have qualified for the Magnolia records. A Pope and Young buck that scores on the typical side, 125, qualifies for the Pope and Young record book. So if this had been a bow kill, this individual would have been eligible to enter the Pope and Young record book. And so that's the basic of scoring. Again, 60-day drying period. They have to be accepted into Boone and Crockett and Pope and Young. They have to be measured by an official certified Boone and Crockett or Pope and Young measurer. These measurers go through a class, a workshop, and learn how to do this, and so that is the procedure.
The Blue Ice Pack's part of the Chill and Brew series. Now this may be one of the most popular ones because everyone likes a cold beer. If you're heading out to a tailgate and you need to pack up 2 cases of beer, this is gonna keep it cold all day or until they're gone. And this works great on the boat. If you're gonna go out and have a day where you need to pack a lot of drinks, this is really what's gonna keep it right at that above freezing temperature. The Chill and Brew series is also good for keeping ice extended. If you wanna put this in with your regular ice, it'll keep it cold longer. So these are good for drinks, waters, sodas, and beer.
Shell employees and their families enjoying our Louisiana sportsman's paradise. Louisiana is where we live, and we're proud to call it home. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana.
This is Don Dubuque asking you to join me as a member of the Coastal Conservation Association. For 30 years, CCA has worked in Louisiana to conserve our incredible fisheries, making sure that our fishing is great today and for generations to come. Whether looking out for redfish and specks, eliminating gill nets, building reefs across the coast, or work at the state capitol and in D.C., CCA is doing what's best for the fish and the sport we love so much. Your $30 membership will ensure that this work and our great fishing endures well into the future. Join CCA today.
There he is. Oh man. Well, these new innovations with all these swim baits, it's unbelievable out there how lifelike they look. They swim unbelievable. And guess what? The fish just love them. Here's one right here. He's not stopping. Oh, goodness. We've got them up on the flat, and what I'm doing is I have a lot of mullet around. So when I saw this mullet up on this oyster flat, I said, okay, what baits could I use that would really attract them? Because my water's super clear, and the bait, you know, I mean, it's got to look really realistic because the water's so clear and there's so much bait. So what I did was I tied on a swim bait, and these swim baits, literally you throw it out and you just retrieve it. You do nothing with it. You just throw it out and a slow, steady retrieve to keep it off the bottom. And man, let me tell you something. These fish will eat them up like crazy. I got them almost worn down now. There you go. Oh, look at this. And I'll tell you, this just shows fishing swim baits how aggressive these fish will be. Oh my gosh, let's see. I gotta watch where I stick my hand. I'm scared to stick my hand in his gills. Look inside of his mouth. He inhaled that entire bait. That is why you fish swim baits. The aggressive bites are just off the chart. Whew, I'm gonna have to see if I can get the hook out of him. Okay, let's see. Okay, got it out. Awesome, look at this bait. You don't think that's the perfect size bait fish for these beautiful reds? He's right about 27, 28 inches. Awesome, I'm telling you, you gotta get some swim baits. There's a bunch of them out there in the market and they all work really well. All right, let's let him go. Fishing swim baits now are real popular, especially coming into the saltwater. Inshore, redfish and speckled trout love them. And the good thing is some of these new style swim baits come with a little split ring on there, so you don't have to tie a loop knot. All you have to do is just tie a regular fisherman's knot. You go through the split ring, spin it about maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, go back through the hole that you created, and then come back through the other hole you just created. Take that tag end, cinch it down, you'll cut that piece of tag end off of there, and that bait will run true and trot every time. Beautiful bait. Oh, there he is. Oh man. Okay, y'all. Now what we've done is, I said, let's come out and let's try the same exact type of technique, but out on a reef. The difference is now, right here where you see this pole in front of us, we've got a reef that comes up and runs along these little sticks right here. And that reef is submerged, and these fish are just sitting on that reef. They've got drums swimming all over the place. And that's letting me know we got life out here. There's mullet. And if you're gonna mimic a mullet, there's no better thing than a swim bait. That is for sure. These reds are just eating this bait. Oh man. Get my net. But I'm gonna show y'all how aggressive that these fish are. All right, we've already caught other fish with them, and this one just goes to show, it's just replicating it. You always have to make sure that you don't stick your hands in the fish's mouth until you check where that hook is, because that hook will get you if you stick your hand in there. Okay, he's on that side so I can get him here. Okay, now look, you saw me just scoop him up. Look how deep That just shows you how much this imitates a lifelike mullet. They're gonna eat that thing as normal as they can because they don't have any doubt whatsoever about that bait being a real fish. Man, that's awesome. Get that hook out. We'll be able to get him back in the water quick. Here it comes. Oh, look at that. Oh man, that swim bait. Boy, I don't even have to do any trickery or fooling myself. The bait does it all for me. Oh man, this is awesome fishing and an awesome technique. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Beautiful fish. Wow. Let's get him back in the water. Go back in there. Oh, and what's really cool is we have sheephead and drum swimming all around us. So we know that we have a lot of life in this area. And when you see that and the mullet up on the surface, you know you can fish these kind of baits. Now these work during tidal situations too. When the tide's moving, they work great also. But those times when it's kind of tough and you're fishing inside the marsh or out here, out on these reefs in open water, you want to make sure that you can use a bait that is as lifelike as could be to where we can fool those fish, because when the tide isn't moving, fish don't feed. And if they're not feeding, you have to make them eat. And the way to make them eat is use an extremely lifelike bait like this. Unbelievable.
Join the club at LouisianaSportsman.com and become a member today. Membership at LouisianaSportsman.com gets you 24/7 access to our hunting and fishing news and exclusive features. Also, Louisiana Sportsman Magazine will be delivered to your mailbox each month. Membership access gets you years of archived content at your fingertips. With a LouisianaSportsman.com membership, you'll get monthly predictions on the best places in Louisiana to fish, freshwater, inshore, and offshore. For hunters, we've got the info you need. You'll get the latest news on trophy bucks that have been tagged, waterfowl migration reports, WMA breakdowns, and much more. Visit LouisianaSportsman.com to get your membership today.
As sportsmen, we seek out the very best craftsmanship in many aspects of what we do. We take great pride in the work we put in because we want the very best results possible. Those same philosophies are how we do things at Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm. We craft each case to the individual needs of our client, and we take pride in our work to protect your rights. To schedule a free consultation, just give us a call at 225-223-6333.
I'm pro angler Andy Montgomery. I've been making my living with Strike King products for a long time. So when they showed me the new Tour Grade line, I was all in. I knew I could trust it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to use. With the spooling tool and the prepaid envelope to recycle your old line included in every single box. Not only is it the best line on the market, it gives you the easiest fishing experience possible. Find out more at StrikeKing.com.
We rise at 4 a.m., driven by an overwhelming passion. We're driven by the beasts that roam the waters of this great country. We don't think about stress, or bills, or Monday. We're fishermen, always ready. And as for the gear we hold, trust is everything. Never again should you sacrifice strength for style. The Team Lose Pro TI Speed Spool, built for anything you set the hook on.
I liking the snow.
What's going on right now?
You know, basically we're having the last snowstorm of the year, I'm thinking, and them ducks are liking it. We don't get a lot of opportunity to hunt in the snow. And, you know, basically it's been wide open since daylight. You know, we got some snow flurries this morning, a little ice falling, and I mean, you know, we didn't even start shooting at shooting time. We waited till a little bit after, and I mean, it's been pretty wide open. It's slowed down now. We haven't killed one in like 2 minutes. But up till that point, it was about as fast as you can load the gun. I'm thinking we're gonna have a good day. I'm thinking these ducks in the south, they like icy weather. This was a standing patch of timber at one time. This was a common practice in the Delta, you know, in the ag area, and they dig a ditch around it and flood it. It was a way to kill the timber and get rid of the stumps. And this one has even extra because it has been planted in millet, which makes it even better. But basically, we're just out in the middle of the Delta, Mississippi River Delta, you know, where there's corn, beans, rice, all planted around us, and you know, we're in a little 40-acre reservoir right in the middle of it. So we right in the heart of it. But there's a lot of food in here. You know, the whole state's really dealt with this year. You know, the ducks are late getting here. You know, this is the tail end of the season, and the hunting really didn't get good till middle of the season probably, where typically this area is really good early. This year, not so much. You know, the ducks have been later. It's just because we've had such a hot, it was 80 degrees, you know, Christmas Day. So we just now, it feels like duck weather. We're dressed, the first time this year I've really dressed this way. So it's good. If you like to shoot a shotgun, duck hunting is on time.
Are you stoned?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
You know what, we duck hunt. You don't shoot deer when they're flying. They sitting on the ground. What's the difference in the duck? Bad shoot. Bad shoot. There was a bunch of ducks down here this morning, you know, when we got here. So that was the fast and furious section. But now we're starting to get some new ones, you know, high coming, and they seem to be working better. With a big group come right in and land. I just think those first group, you know, they get used to after you shoot a couple times. They like, there's a pile of decoys over there in that dark spot in that field, you know. But these new ones are working better. You know, they're starting to come. It's later in the morning, ducks moving around a little bit, you know, there are other places feeding. And there's so much water right now. I mean, you know, about the whole state's flooded. I mean, we got 4 inches of rain before this snow and ice storm that we had this morning. So. great. You're getting through that. That's great. Good shot. Nice. Let's see if you're coming in closer. We're out here a little longer than we thought because after we started this morning, you know, we shot as fast as you could load the gun. But the funny thing about it is it's not too slow because not one time have I not looked up there were not ducks working in the area. Not all morning. There's groups of 50, 100. I mean, so they're not all working. They seem to be, you know, they're a little leery. It's cloudy this morning, but there's always ducks in the air every time I turn around, you know, so it's pretty good. Here you go. Three more behind you.
Thought I needed to stop there for a second. You know what? It amazes me how much the wind's blowing out here over what is blowing in that blind. It's so much nicer in there when you're sitting in there. And it looks good from out here. Frank, where you been? What are you doing this morning?
Yeah, he's very loud.
We shot plenty ducks and we did it in the snow. That's not something you can say all the time in Louisiana, but we had fun doing it. Join us here next time on Sportsman TV.